Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly crucial evolution that's mapped right out in the Jio Platforms DRHP. Look, for years we've all known Jio as the absolute engine behind India's consumer connectivity revolution, right? But what this prospectus reveals is an aggressive, highly structured plan to shift from a consumer telecom giant into a much higher value business-to-business enterprise tech platform. And as always, we're sticking strictly to the numbers and the strategies disclosed in the filing to see exactly how massive this shift really is.
So that brings us to the big central question we're tackling today. Can Jio actually evolve from primarily a connectivity company into a higher value enterprise technology, cloud, and digital services platform? Now, to be clear, we aren't here to guarantee that they're going to succeed. Instead, we're going to analytically examine the exact evidence they've laid out, just to see how they plan to climb that B2B tech ladder.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this one. We're going to start with the B2B market opportunity, then look at Jio's enterprise tech stack, their global monetization ambitions, the competitive landscape, unit economics and reality, and wrap it all up with a final assessment. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The B2B market opportunity, unlocking the enterprise space.
Before we even touch the tech, we have to talk about the sheer scale of the playing field here, because it is staggering. According to the DRHP, Jio's addressable enterprise digital services market in India currently stands at 4.68 trillion rupees. That is roughly $52 billion. It represents about 1.47% of India's GDP. Now, to put that into perspective, in more advanced digital economies, this kind of spending usually sits somewhere between 3% and 5% of GDP. So not only is this current market absolutely massive, but the headroom for future growth as Indian businesses continue to digitize, it's just immense.
But, this market definitely isn't uniform. There is a really sharp contrast here. Large enterprises in India already show high digital penetration. We're talking an estimated 75 to 90%. They're out there looking for advanced use cases, things like cloud-native architectures and automation. But on the flip side, you've got India's massive SME sector, small and medium enterprises. Their digital penetration is incredibly low, literally less than 3%. They are struggling with digital fragmentation and older legacy systems. And that underpenetrated SME space, that is a huge, untapped growth engine that Jio is actively targeting with unified, easy-to-deploy platforms.
Section 2. Jio's enterprise tech stack, building from the ground up.
So how do they actually capture this market? Well, Jio's strategic progression isn't just about selling basic internet access. It is a highly cohesive ladder. They use foundational network connectivity as the springboard. Then from there, they move clients up into the cloud, they overlay software and AI, they integrate the Internet of Things, and then they cap the whole thing off with enterprise applications. It's a very deliberate design meant to pull customers from basic, commoditized connectivity into much stickier, higher-margin services.
Let's start at that foundational layer, enterprise connectivity. We're talking about things like internet, lease lines, MPLS, SD-WAN, and managed Wi-Fi. Now, in plain English, these technologies solve critical business problems. They act like dedicated, totally secure digital highways that guarantee performance for mission-critical operations. And Jio already has serious traction here. They provide these exact managed services to major clients disclosed in the DRHP, like Wipro, EIH, which runs the Oberoi Group, and LT Foods.
Stepping up the stack from there, we get to the cloud. A really key component detailed in the filing is something called JioCloudXP. Think of this essentially as a dashboard that lets businesses easily manage all their digital workloads. The magic word here is hybrid cloud. You see, some business data is incredibly sensitive, so it needs a private cloud. But other data, it needs the sheer computing power of a public cloud. JioCloudXP allows smooth interoperability between both of those, which makes the really complicated transition away from old on-premises servers way easier for these businesses.
And the financial logic behind focusing so heavily on the cloud? It's crystal clear. The enterprise cloud market is projected to jump from 375 billion rupees in FY 2026 all the way to 964 billion rupees by FY 2031. That is a massive 21% compound annual growth rate, and it's being fueled by companies migrating legacy workloads and suddenly needing real-time data processing. Jio is attacking this space with their own infrastructure, sure, but importantly, they're also doing it through a disclosed partnership with Microsoft to offer Azure services. In fact, they already count major institutions like the Life Insurance Corporation of India and Indian Bank as their cloud clients.
Next up on the ladder is the Internet of Things, or IoT, which they deliver through JioThings. This is all about connecting physical devices to the cloud so they can be monitored and optimized. The filing breaks this down into smart assets, smart utilities, and smart mobility.
To show you how this actually works in the real world, the prospectus uses their client Ather Energy as an example. Jio essentially provides the machine-to-machine connectivity that lets Ather's electric vehicles and their nationwide charging stations constantly talk to the central network. It's pretty cool stuff.
Moving right along, we have Enterprise Communications, branded as JioCX. Now, this is a totally different ballgame than basic telecom connectivity. This is about giving businesses an omni-channel platform. It lets them engage customers seamlessly across SMS, WhatsApp, voice, and email, and it's all augmented by AI-driven automation and chatbots. It's a complete end-to-end customer engagement ecosystem, not just, a simple phone line.
And again, the financial motivation here is just huge. This enterprise communications market is projected to grow at a 16% CAGR, hitting 1.15 trillion rupees by FY 2031. It's really a foundational layer for digital transformation, and Jio clearly wants to be the platform routing every single one of those automated business-to-consumer interactions.
Finally, at the very top of the stack, we reach AI and advanced tech. The DRHP discusses JioBrain and notes some major partnerships for distributing enterprise AI products from Meta, as well as offering Google AI Pro. They even mention developing AI-powered smart glasses called JioFrames. Now, keeping our strictly analytical hats on here, the DRHP discloses these as capabilities and ongoing developments. It does not make concrete financial forecasts about their future profitability. So think of these as emerging technologies perfectly positioned to keep the whole stack competitive long-term.
Section 3. Global Monetization Ambitions, Beyond India's Borders.
So how does all this proprietary tech translate globally? Well, the crucial point here is that Jio isn't just buying off-the-shelf parts. They've actually built their own intellectual property, like their 5G core and cloud-native network components. The DRHP explicitly discusses the opportunity to export and monetize these technology platforms internationally. But as careful analysts, we have to clearly distinguish between a stated market opportunity and current realized revenue. Exporting the stack is an ambition for future growth. It's not the core engine that's generating their cash today.
Section 4. The competitive landscape, facing the giants.
Of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. Who does Jio have to face to actually win these high-value enterprise contracts? Well, the DRHP clearly acknowledges a fiercely competitive landscape. Over in the cloud ecosystem, Jio is going up against absolute global titans: AWS, Google Cloud, IBM, Oracle, Dell, and VMware. In IoT, they face established heavyweights like Tata Communications, Cisco, Siemens, and Bosch. Interestingly, Microsoft Azure is listed as a competitor, but as we saw just a minute ago, they are also a partner. That really highlights Jio's dual strategy here, competing with native infrastructure while also collaborating to capture as much enterprise spend as possible.
Section 5. Unit Economics and Reality, the Financial Funnel.
All right, so how much of this incredible technological opportunity can actually translate into Jio's unit economics? Let's walk through the reality check funnel. Having a $52 billion market opportunity is great, but first you have to actually win the customers. Then, once you get the revenue, you have to survive the intense margin pressures of a highly competitive market. After that, you've got to deduct the massive capital expenditures, the CapEx, that's constantly required just to build and maintain network and cloud infrastructure. Ultimately, only whatever survives that entire brutal funnel becomes actual cash generation for the business.
Because of that funnel, distinguishing what is real today from what is a future opportunity is absolutely critical. Established offerings, things like enterprise broadband, lease lines, IoT asset tracking, and managed Wi-Fi, those are generating real business right now. On the other hand, things like exporting a 5G cord globally or monetizing advanced AI smart glasses, those remain emerging, future monetization strategies. They are definitely promising, but we have to remember they are further down the road.
Section 6. Final Strategic Assessment, Reality versus Potential.
So, is Jio's enterprise business already a meaningful, high-value engine, or is the true prize still on the horizon? Well, let's look at both sides. The evidence supporting the opportunity is undeniable. You've got a 4.68 trillion rupee market, a comprehensively built-out tech stack spanning basic connectivity all the way to advanced applications, and a seriously impressive roster of major corporate clients. Conversely, the areas requiring caution are just as real. They include intense competition from global tech giants, the very different execution risks involved in selling complex enterprise software compared to basic data plans, and the ongoing CapEx required to stay relevant in the fast-moving worlds of cloud and AI.
And that leaves us with this final thought. Jio's enterprise opportunity is, without a doubt, much broader than just selling connectivity.
The DRHP presents a massive stack spanning connectivity, cloud, IoT, communications, AI, and proprietary tech. But the key investor question is not where the opportunity exists. It clearly does. The real question is how much of that opportunity can become scalable, profitable, and cash-generating business. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.